Hey everyone, Phil Bullock here again. And as part of your onboarding process, we are going to go over our app. Setting up the app is pretty simple. We actually just give you access to it. So we will send you an email that says, here's your username and password. And we'll do that for the first active user. And then we have kind of a portal set up for how you're going to use the app to set up your other users in your organization, set up the hierarchy. Some groups have an administrator that adds projects, and then the inspector goes out and completes the projects. Some the inspector is the admin, and so they set up their own projects. And so we have a way to deal with that. First of all, let me just bring up the app real quick. So here's our app. This is just a sample portal that I've logged into, and the goal here is to not go over active projects, completed projects, and how that works. More so what we're going to go over is like, okay, now you have access to the app. What is kind of the first stuff you do to set up what you need in here? Obviously, if you're ready to do a project, then in active, you're going to hit the plus sign and you're going to add a project, starting with the address and then developing what services that you would like to add. After the project is completed and paid for, then it will always lie in your completed projects folder, which is right here. You can kind of consider this the archive of the completed projects that you've done. You can always go here to get the invoices, to get the reports, the finalized reports. And there are times in which we'll drag completed projects back into active if we need to go back out in the field, redo something, things like that. We'll start with help. Help is great because in two ways. It helps the inspector in the field if there's a question about something. And a lot of our help is developed on the EFE, the Elevation Foundation Evaluation Service, because that is the hardest help. The hardest service to complete in the field. You have to know the most amount of stuff. You have to do the most amount of things. And so we have that help. If you click on help here, you'll see that there's general PDFs for helping, a lot of them based on the EFE. But if you click on these, view, you'll see that the PDF will pop up, and these are PDFs that you may have even seen. A lot of them we have sent you in emails and stuff, and they're kind of like one sheets to help you get through a specific task or a specific service that we have, and they kind of help you do what you need. A few of the really notable ones, how to sell the partnership is a great one to use, because this tells you how to sell it during the inspection, before the inspection, during the inspection, and even after the inspection. I guess we don't list a few here, but what will happen is if you try to sell it during and tee up the client for what they're getting, then you may even get a after the inspection sale. Staying above board is a great one to use. We talked about this one just because we want to make sure you're not representing yourself as an engineer, that you are staying above board with all of the regulatory restrictions and requirements of the Board of Engineers. I have to do it as an engineer, but you also have to do it as someone who is kind of working with an engineer as a partnership. So you have to reflect that relationship exactly right. The EFE, these are the 3 documents for EFE. We really want you to go over these. I go over them in these videos, but these are really, really helpful for knowing and understanding how to use a zip level, actually using it and implementing it in the field. And then the odd situations one is very helpful for when you have these very strange things that happen, a basement, a very large home that you have to move your zip level, converted areas, things like that. So help is here. Onboarding help, there is these videos are here. We house these on YouTube. These videos are here, and you can see them here. All of me just kind of talking you through how to use the app. These are great by service. If you have a specific service that you want to go look at how to do, we'll go through it with you. These are continually evolving. We will make a lot of changes to these videos over time, but this is where they're housed. So you can always just come right to EFE, go down to how to do a Kubicasa, hit play, how to do the elevation plot template, tips and tricks, everything else. It's all available here. And then sample documents. I don't have any here, but this is really valuable in the field for selling the service. If you want to pull open a sample document to show the client on an iPad or even on your phone what they're going to be getting, this can be a really, really valuable tool in the field. And we highly recommend that you frequently go over to your sample documents and make sure that you have available samples in case your client asks you, well, what does the report look like and what am I going to be getting? The samples start out as generic samples for y'all. But after you become an onboarded partner, we develop specific samples with your logo at the top. And so you can showcase that exactly who you are and who you're partnering with and how the report will actually look very, very specifically. That kind of drags itself into the colors discussion. So I'm going to go over and talk about how you can brand, your reports better. What we do is we say that we white label, but that's only partially true because the board doesn't allow us to officially white label a report. White label meaning that we would do the report and you would put your information on it as though you had done it. Clearly, there are some services that we can do that for. Those are the services that do not have the word engineer on them. If they're an engineering service, we can white label them to a certain extent, but we can't completely white label a report by removing me from it. I will always have to have my firm name in partnership with us, our logo, and my seal at the bottom, obviously, contact information for me if they need it, things like that. We outline that relationship, and we want to make sure that we don't gather client information from y'all. We're never going to reach out to your client to market. We have had situations where a client has reached out to us and booked another type of civil service or engineering service. And in that case, if we ever catch it and recognize it, then we bring you into the loop. And chances are, unless you just don't want the job, chances are you may have to perform the job because we don't have inspectors in your area, all areas. And so if the client wants something from us, but we need a field person to go out and gather the information, then it just makes total sense that we would maintain that relationship with you, drag you in, and do that. It's not very often that happens, but we do like to just make sure that everyone knows that it can. Every now and then it can. A client can call Noble directly and try to book a service, and then we do our best to facilitate involvement of the partner whenever possible. The company tab is kind of your settings for the company. If you come over here, you'll see that where this starts is just, we want you to set up the company, specifically like your logo, the company email, the company phone number, and then we talk about your users under here. I'm not going to go into every screen of this process, but essentially we would like you to give us the name, hit this edit button, and go through this sample company and give us all this information. A few notes. I will walk through this. I think it's worth it. We want to know what software you use for gathering home inspection work. We want to know the size of your company and if you're a franchise. We want to know your company phone number. So this would be the number that gets you to your administration team, not a specific individual, and a company email. We try not to use these, actually, that's not true. We do use these all the time for delivery of your projects. If we need to get in contact with an inspector, we try not to use these. We will then look at the user that is the inspector and reach out to the inspector if we need to on a specific project that maybe we got data from. Here's your address, your service area, just a little bit about what areas you serve. We provide you with a certificate of insurance. The certificate is not full indemnity, but it does outline a relationship that we have with you, and we will get an insurance certificate issued with your name on it after we know your legal business, after you fill this in, your legal business name for the insurance. So up here you may be a home inspection company, and down here you're home inspection company LLC, something like that. Hex. Okay, so let's get into hex code. Our reports generate a specific color for a lot of our just for our dividers, section breaks, page number breaks, things like that. And the goal here is that we can have your logo at the top. It can look very pretty. Let's say it's a green logo. And the goal would be that the general theme of the rest of the report matches that green logo. Hex colors, you can Google them, but you can just come over here. You can do hex color for green. You can just Google. There's even hex code determiners, like you can load your logo in and it will give you the hex code for the specific areas of your logo. A lot of people know this, and I'm not going to get into a lot of it, but this is a hex code number. Every color on the color wheel has a hex code number. You just need to tell us what it is. That hex code number will then be used to generate your reports. We start out with 000, which is just, I think it's just black. And so if we don't get a hex code for you, then we just generate it using no color. And it doesn't look as good. We'd love it to match your logo color, but you can. If your logo is like yellow, then you know, that may not look good on the report. And so we'll have to balance that with the, with what looks best from the reporting perspective. Hopefully, if your logo is like primarily yellow, then maybe you have a charcoal gray or some other accent color that's a darker color that would be better for this hex code branding color. We can trial and error it, and it doesn't take long to set up. And then every single report you generate will look a lot more like your own report. And that's the goal. The goal is for you to represent yourself as the inspector and the person presenting the report as a subconsultant and partner to Noble. And so our brand is just less important. We have to, again, keep above board, but it's really a market. The white labeling is more of a marketing process. We want your brand and your company to stand out in front of the client instead of Noble. And so that is our goal by giving you access to color branding, which will keep your consistency throughout. And then we got a sample document here. You can upload add a sample for your own personal use, and that's good. Puts it in there. So that is the company. Edit your company. After that, you'll come down and add users. You'll start out with one user here. We fill in for you. And you're just going to go through name, email, phone number. We want the phone number of that specific user. We are not giving this out, and we just want it so that we can contact this person directly. So if it's a cell phone, that would be great. Again, this is typically used for inspectors when I have no idea what happened and I have to have an answer from an inspector to get a report out to a client. So I need a direct phone number. I would rather not go through administrative back and forth if possible. We do let you spell out your password here for that individual. The title matters. Owner, manager, admin, inspector. It matters for what you're able to access inside of the portal. Agency is, there are a few states that have a specific agency that you have to abide by, and we want to know that. For Texas, it's TREC, Texas Real Estate Commission. But basically, we want to know if you're licensed and certified in a certain brand. And a lot of people, Introductory is the national brand, and you don't have to be, but most people, if they're in a state that doesn't require a specific agency's oversight, then you would usually they get the Introductory brand, and then your license number. We use that. We use that in our report. We want to get your agency and license number, and we put that inside of your inspector label at the top of our report. Okay, that is the user. Services. This is the standard pricing that we have. Our pricing is very transparent. We really don't have a lot of pricing differences between even companies. There are a few rare instances where we'll modify a price, but we don't like to increase prices if we don't have to. We're happy with these prices. We're profitable with these prices, and so from time to time we may renegotiate prices. Maybe we change prices with other clients as they come in. Other partners as they come in. But this is the pricing scheme that you get, and you can edit this pricing scheme here. And really, you would only come and edit this if we agree to a different price. And you're not really going to get one on us. If you change the price, we're going to pretty well know that the price has changed, and then we'll call you and ask you why the price has changed. So there's no point in dialing that down to $50. We'll see that and come after you. But this is just the default pricing that we all agree to, so that it populates that price when you add a service. We're kind of trustworthy in that way. Payments is really important to us. We don't like to have an outstanding balance of payments, and our accounts receivable in the past has grown and kind of ballooned out of control because we love to get projects in and we love to get them out to you, and we worry about the money we know we'll get paid. So we have set up an auto pay. That's probably the most important thing here. When you have payment history, a line item will be entered here for what you've paid, but we would like you to set up auto pay, and auto pay will basically allow the project to be charged to the specific method after the project is put into the complete category. So it doesn't mean that you're going to be charged when you book a service, because services change, clients cancel. We don't want to charge you for something that we don't provide. But when we do give you the report, and we do consider it to be complete, administratively complete, but also from the engineering complete side, then the report will then transition to the complete bucket, and you will be charged for that fee. So just make sure that the fee is dialed in correctly while we're working on the project. Make sure when you add it that it's added correctly and that everything's good, because we will charge you when you go from active to complete. We don't hold up your report like maybe like a lot of you do with home inspections, where if you don't pay, you're not getting the report. We don't do that. So don't worry ever about that. If your auto pay goes out or something and you compile a few, 2 or 3, 5 reports on us, it's fine. We'll hunt you down. We know where you live and we'll come after you. But really, just auto pay is great, because then we get paid for our service. And because we're an engineering firm, but we don't like to operate on a 90-day, 30-day turnaround. I mean, we have bills to pay too. We want to get, these are kind of, even though we're an engineering firm operating as more in the service industry, we kind of still are operating like a widget. You know, we're selling reports. They're very commoditized. They're very they're on the lower side of the fee scale. And so, you know, it just makes sense that these would be paid when we kind of give you the report. Metrics will give you give you some access to how many projects you've done with us. We'd like you to keep a look at this, because we just want to see how many reports you're selling and how often and things like that. We give you access to how much of them are divided by the specific service, how many projects you did, and that's basically it, just some minor metrics. So we want you to set up your company. We want you to set up your screen with your headshots and all the users and everything in your organization, and that way your system runs smoothly. Each inspector has access to their own account. They would log in with their own credentials, and then when they complete a report, that inspector is logged as the inspector. We can sometimes do, we just don't do company-wide logins anymore. That is easier sometimes to have just a company that has one login for every person. But then if you think about it, it requires that you type in the inspector's name during the process, and we don't have a lot of control on quality. One inspector may log in and see all the projects when he's only assigned to a few. He may delete something by accident. He may edit the wrong project. And so after trial and error, we give you access to set this all up, but we don't want to just have it set up for one user per company if you have multiple people out in the field using it. Otherwise, that's it. This is the app setup. We hope then that you would come over to Active after setting all this up, come over to Active, hit plus, and begin a inspection of the specific property. That is all I have for this video, but let me know if you have any questions, and thanks. Bye.